BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor and take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. On today's episode of the BTB Project, I introduce you another exchange student of mine who comes from Bolivia. After accepting an opportunity to come to the United States to study abroad for 1 year in high school, he came to Highlands Ranch, Colorado, where I happen to be the coach of the tennis team. His story is inspiring, as he came to the United States with a severe language barrier and had a hard time communicating. He was by far one of the most talented tennis players I've seen, and he was able to overcome the odds in the 11th hour. His story will inspire you, will allow you to understand that embracing change and overcoming yourself is always necessary to be your best. Fohad Amas, welcome to the BTB Project.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby.
Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Coleman Gerhardt, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
It brings me a tremendous honor today to welcome yet again another one of my former students who comes all the way from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I would like to welcome Mr. Fohad Amas to the BTB Project. Welcome, man.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks for the invitation,
Yeah, there's a lot to cover with you, Fohad, because, it's been just such a privilege and honor over these 17 years coaching that our paths would cross, and the listeners are really going to be taken away by all of the coincidences and kind of small world to where you and I were able to meet. And what I would love to start with is I'd love for you to share a little bit about how you got to the United States. Because as we talked before we hopped on the podcast, you have who you would call a brother now, who is out in Ukraine that you ended up meeting during your exchange program. And I'd love for you to walk the listeners to how you came from Argentina to Highlands Ranch, Colorado.
All right. Well, my parents always wanted me to learn English, was his dream. They sent my sister to U.S., to Iowa.
Okay.
3 years before I went to Denver. But the problem was that I've never been on Institute of English, so I didn't know English when I arrived. You know that.
Yep.
English when I arrived to US was very, very bad. It's not like now it's good, but well, it's better.
Yes, it's extraordinarily better. It's very good, Fohad. Very good.
My parents told me, well, in August, you're going to an exchange program. And well, the world, the universe takes me to be on Cheryl's house.
Yeah.
Universe, I mean, same makes Mark my host brother, you my coach.
Yeah.
The guys, the tennis team, a very good experience that I had there. Very hard for me because, well, it was too hard to make me understand with you guys, because at the first I was passing to a very bad moment because I didn't know how to communicate with the people and was too hard. Well, times goes, and I never give up trying to learn, to speak, I never give up trying to make friends. At the end, went very well.
We're going to dive deep into a lot of the things that you experienced when you got here to Colorado and your tennis background. But I'd love for you to share what it took as far as the application process for you and your sister to come to an exchange program. Was that process challenging, or was it something that was pretty easy to do, knowing that your sister did it before when she went to Iowa?
Well, for me, if someone will have to listen first, Mark's Finkevich's story. The difference between me and Mark is that he had a challenge. I didn't. I needed have a good grades in my school, and that's it.
I gotcha.
The only thing, and so for me, it wasn't hard to go. But well, I am very, very grateful with my parents that gave me the possibility to do it, you know?
No, absolutely. And, you know, for the listeners, I was a head tennis coach for a high school here in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, at Highlands Ranch High School. And I was there for going into my second year, and all of a sudden there's this influx of exchange students that came to the school. And an exchange program essentially is allowing a student from anywhere in the world to come to the United States to study as a high school student and also be able to participate in athletics if they played athletics in their homeland. And what was interesting was when I learned about Fohad and also Mark, they were referred to me by their host mom, who happened to be the mother of someone that I used to coach many years ago. So it became a full circle moment for me because I knew Cheryl well. I knew that, you know, her family was someone that entrusted me with tennis. And I never thought it would turn into a situation, Fohad, where you'd come, you know, all the way across the world to Colorado and have this opportunity to kind of have our stories come together. Yes, I played college tennis and I've had success as a high school coach, but I'd love for you to share to the listeners your tennis journey, because I know that tennis has been a part of your life from a very young age, also soccer, but I'd love for you to share how you got into tennis and what it means to you.
Well, I started tennis when I was 8 years old. I've always been a sports guy. You know, I love to play soccer, tennis, basketball, volleyball, everything. I wanted to play everything. Well, I started to practice tennis. I started to love it at the first, I remember. I wanted to go every day with my dad or play with the kids that were my friends now. It was amazing that when I was until 10 years old. After that, I started to training more.
Yeah.
You know, I started to training more and more for being competitive, you know.
Yeah, so were you at that point when you were 10 or slightly after that, is that when you decided to go into more of an academy or training?
Yeah.
Training?
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. I turned to go into an academy, and I started to train very competitive. Also, tennis in that, from my 10 years old till 15, 16 was my life, tennis. It was like my day was, I eat lunch at 12:30 after school. From 2 o'clock to 2:15 until 6 o'clock was only tennis. Tennis every day, tennis. It was awesome because, well, we had an incredible group, amazing, that we were 10 kids, that we have a very good level of tennis.
What was the name of the tennis academy that you attended, and where was it located?
Club de Tenis Tarija is the club, is in Tarija. Tarija, Bolivia, at the south of Bolivia.
South of Bolivia.
South of
And
Bolivia.
yeah, I remember, when you were out here, you filled me in a little bit about your academy background and your training. And I'd love for you to speak to, yes, some of the individuals that you were training with, but was that training challenging for you to spend all those hours on the court?
Every day. Yeah. Every day was a challenge for me, because I had in my life, until I arrived to Denver, I had 3 coaches. The first one, name is Daniel. He teach me how to play. He teach me a lot of, he formed me like a player, It's like he did, and he introduced me to the tennis life, okay? He's an amazing coach for kids. It's really great. And after this guy arrives, his name was Gustavo. Gustavo, he made the whole group very talented, very, very talented. But the problem that we had is not his fault, but the problem we had is that we didn't have the discipline of being a player,
Yep.
Because for us was like, we started to eat, like, I don't know, we went to a tournament and we ate hamburgers, soda. We didn't care about being healthy. It was like, we are very good, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, that is what was one of my problems, that I have the discipline of start to training when he arrived. But he made us very talented, because during the training we started to play a lot, play a lot of matches, and everybody was improving too much. So after that arrives another coach. When I was 15, everybody had a very good level, and well, my parents want me to start learning English.
Yeah.
And well, I try some particular classes so I can go to my exchange year, but I wanted to play tennis. And when I was 15, I left to travel for tennis to a tournament. This coach, the people that they don't travel, they can train with him. And it was like, I wasn't in that moment, and well, I started to have the injury in my arm.
Okay.
So I couldn't travel a lot. That kind of things made me leave tennis when I was 15, close to 16, until I arrived to Denver.
No, I appreciate you sharing that, because it really provides a lot of transparency to how challenging it is to train in the game of tennis. I can relate, being in your shoes. My tennis journey and that training started much later in my life, 17, 18 years old, where I was more developed, more mature. I was still young, but I had an opportunity to maybe be able to have a chance to find myself easier, because I kind of knew who I was at that point, and I was super passionate about going after the sport. But for you, it's interesting, because you started, right around 9 or 10 years old, and trained and had these various coaches or influences in your life. And it led to, you started maybe having discipline, and then you had coaches that didn't have as much discipline, but were able to teach you the talent and the technique that you have. And then as you keep playing more and more and more, if you're not taking care of your body, you're going to be someone that can get hurt, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me, because before I met you, you went through this whole path of training with from what I understand, the best players in your country. I mean, guys that went on and played at the highest level on the tour.
Yeah.
And you have this injury in your arm and you stop playing tennis. And was there a period of time where you stopped playing tennis before coming to the United States?
Yeah, almost a year that I wasn't playing tennis because of my arm, because I couldn't train with my friends, because well, like I said, we had an amazing group. The 2002 guys and the 2003 guys, which we were born, we trained together. The 2004, that is like close to my age, like months of difference. Four of them were like top 10 in Bolivia, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a very good group. And if we didn't have a very good ranking, the other guys, was because we didn't travel a lot. It's complicated with school, with all things. What was very complicated. It was like a year that I didn't play until I arrived there.
Yeah, and I mean, just to put the pieces together, when I heard that you would be coming to Colorado, at that point, I had many years as a coach under my belt. I had experience with other exchange students that I've had on my teams in years past. And so I started doing some research. I'm trying to figure out who you are. I remember, reaching out and communicating with you and just trying to get a sense of what tennis meant to you. And a lot of the things that I saw was a lot of the things you just walked us through before the injury, that you spent a lot of time training. And I was really excited to meet you and have that opportunity. And I'll never forget, you get to the United States, you meet Mark and are with Cheryl at that point with your host family. And do you remember that first day that we met? And it might have been an early morning for you, but I'd love for you to talk about that first time you came on the courts in the high altitude of Colorado.
Yeah, I remember that the first day when you and Talmage, Gibby.
Yeah, Gibby. Yeah. That's right.
Amazing kid, amazing guy. I remember like was yesterday, because obviously it's the same time. It's the first time I went also with Mark to play tennis. When I started to contact Cheryl is my host mother. When I started to contact with her, she told me, if you guys play tennis, I can speak with the coach because he is a friend of mine. So tell me something. And we say, yeah, we wanted to play tennis. And yeah, I remember you wanted me to send you some videos of me playing, but I wasn't playing. And
yeah,
I was close to a travel, because I was traveling for my visa. I was traveling with my prom year of my friends, my group of friends.
Yeah.
So I couldn't reach you a video of me playing. But I think, and when you told me, I training time before the season starts and I couldn't be there, I was like, maybe I don't get into the team, I don't know. But fortunately, I arrived, and I think at the first I did my best. So I was number one single with you.
Yeah, and that's what I think is really fascinating, is based off of how you were used to training and the coaches that you had. There was much more structure, and the way that I run my teams as a high school coach is pretty structured. Most teams are not as structured, just to be perfectly honest. But when you came and I saw you hit for the first time, I just remember having a couple conversations with other coaches and, people that are closely tied to Colorado tennis. And I'll be honest with you, Fohad, when I first saw you, and I had no idea that you had the arm stuff or that you stopped playing for a year, I kind of took it upon myself where I'm like, you know, I'm going to give this kid everything I got for 1 year. I'm going to feed into this kid. I don't know anything about his story. It's got to be hard leaving mom and dad and your sister. Like I knew that it was going to be a challenge for you, but I wasn't just going to sit back and not coach you. I wanted to feed into your life, right? And what was interesting is as you started playing some matches, when the season started and you started playing some matches, there started to be some chatter, some people saying, hey, this guy could win a state championship. And I kind of chuckled because not only did I believe you could win a state championship, but even after all these years, you know, we're a few years removed from it, I still to this day thought you could have played college tennis. And that is the type of talent that your coaches, that training environment was able to produce. And I would love for you to speak to the listeners about what it was like for you to play your first tennis match for Highlands Ranch High School. And what was it like after not playing for a year to be back into it?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like the first match was the best match. I remember I won 6-0, 6-1, I think, something too easy. And I was very happy because I was like, you know, I was returned because, well, I didn't have the injury in that moment. And was like, I was returning to what I lived my whole life, you know, train, compete. I love that world of compete with guys. I love that world.
But that was probably the first time you had fun again playing tennis in a long time, because I'm sure it wasn't fun for you a year or so before that. When you got hurt, you were ready to be done with tennis.
Yeah, no, it before of that, it wasn't funny. It was more stress. It was a lot of problems.
Right.
And I remember the first 3 matches, I think I won like easy 6-1, 6-1. It was everything easy until I lost my first match, and that was a very easy match for me.
I want to talk about that match. I want to talk about what it felt like, where, again, just like the first couple matches, you were rolling. You were doing everything that you needed to do. And then all of a sudden, something changed.
Exactly. And I just, in this match, when I arrived, well, I started to hit and everything. And this guy started to play like someone who I always hated to play with him, against. Okay.
So it brought back a lot of emotion of things that happened in the past.
Yeah, a lot of emotion of the past.
Yeah.
And I started to be very frustrated during the match. I remember I lost the first set, like, I don't know, 6-4. And the second one, I said, you know, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I won 6-1, I think. But in the match tiebreak, I returned to the first set. I had my head. Yeah, and I was too frustrated. I remember when the match I lost and the match ended, I was sitting alone in the tennis court for a half an hour because it was a very bad moment for me. And after that, well, I started to have the injury in my arm again. And I started to have a very bad time with myself because I was far from home. I was far from my family. It was hard for me to tell people how I was feeling in that moment because I couldn't speak.
Right.
You know, it was, even to Mark, to my host mother, it was impossible for me to speak and say how I was feeling, or I couldn't communicate with no one. And I am a person who loves to talk, to to talk, to be very social. I love to share with people how I think. So it was very a bad time, a tough time for me.
So I want to go back to that bench, and this is a bench that's on the tennis court. You lose the first set 6-4. You win the second set 6-1. Third set, you played a 10-point tiebreaker to decide the match, and you lost. It was close. I think it was like 10-7 or 10-8, or I mean, it was close.
10-8 was.
Yeah. So what was interesting for me is at that point, I still had no idea that all of this stuff that had happened to you in the past was coming back to life while you were playing a match, playing against an opponent that you didn't like playing back home caused you to feel a certain way. Having the moment of losing a set, when you lost that first set, had you feel a certain way based off of what you went through in the past. But after that match, when you lost, I remember you laying down on the bench in the middle of the tennis court. Everybody was wondering, what's wrong with him? But what's funny is I didn't think that, because I had no idea what was going on. Yeah. So I let you have your time. And I know you said it was 30 minutes. It was a little bit longer than that. I think you stayed there till everyone left the facility, and then you finally got up. But Fohad, in that moment, I believe you had to face yourself. You had to figure out, am I going to give up or am I going to keep going? Because you had every emotion in your mind. You had every emotion and all of these different things that all of us, even the listeners, are going through. Like, life has moments where it's tough. And in this moment for you, it came in one tennis match. But I would love for you to talk to the listeners about, after that moment on the bench, what are some of the things that started happening with how you were as a teammate, your training, your arm? Tell me some of the things that happened.
Before I lost that match, I was training very good. I was very happy. I was feeling part of the team. I was very in a good mood. After I lost that match, and I had that moment, 3 days after, my injury returned. So all the things that happened when I left tennis because of the injury, because of the moment, returned. And I started to think, and I didn't want to train anymore again. I didn't want to play. I didn't want to do anything. I remember I went to the next matches and to hit some balls, and my injury comes again in my arm. And I was like very frustrated because I didn't want that. I wanted to play. I wanted to win. I was in that mentality with you, coach. And I didn't want to train anymore. The most difficult thing was that I didn't have friends in that moment. After Mark, it was like for me very complicated to make some friends, to hang out with people. I couldn't do it because, well, I didn't know how to speak. That was the first problem,
Well, that not just being able to communicate, but also to receive communication. Because I'll tell you right now, there were guys on the team that were trying to engage you, that were trying to support you, that were trying to help you get through this, but because of the language barrier, you didn't know how to receive it, and you were lonely. You felt like no one understood.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the guys on the tennis team were very good guys. Jack Maniati, Grant, Ryan, Gibby, Jack, everybody was very good with me. But well, I couldn't speak with them. I know that no one in the tennis team, apart of Mark, knows me as a person because well, I couldn't open to them, and all my bad moments ended up when Coach Coleman kicked me out of the team.
Back to why it happened. So there was a little bit more things that happened beside the bench.
Yeah, because I started to, because of I was very frustrating as a tennis player. I started to frustrate myself. I didn't want to train. When I was training, I didn't want to run. I didn't want to hit. I just wanted to, like, I don't care. And when Coach Coleman, Coach Mac, Coach Connors, they tell me that, well, I'm not even more in the team. Because also I get injured, in my foot when I played volleyball.
Yeah.
I get injured.
Yeah.
When they know that, they kick me out of the team. And in that moment, in really that moment, I didn't care because I was in a very bad moment. But when I go to speak with Cheryl,
your host mom, yeah,
about all of this, it fell on me that I was losing my time there. Like, I always wanted to play tennis. I was very happy at the first with coach, and because of my frustration, I was going to a bad time, and it was like the guy who has to change his mind, his all things. It's me. It's not the rest of US. It's me who has to change. I started to feel better about my foot. Well, I call coach and say, coach, I'm very sorry for everything. Also, I couldn't explain how I was feeling in that moment. Well, fortunately, coach gave me the opportunity, but he told me, if you don't give your 100%, I'll take you out of the court. And that was the condition of coach to me to return to the team. And I said, okay, it's okay. I want that. Really want.
That's what was a pretty cool moment was, and I'm talking about the moment way before that when you were on the bench when you lost that first match. The kid that I saw on that bench, I knew your potential. I knew what you had in you. You might have not been able to communicate it. You might have acted in a way that you didn't really want to act in that moment, but I knew your potential. And what was really neat, just to kind of tie it together up to that moment where you asked to be back on the team, was really for most of the rest of the year, outside of those first 3 or 4 matches, not only when you were practicing did you not show up mentally or physically, but there were times, man, where you would just straight up walk by the tennis courts and go to soccer practice. Like, you had friends that played soccer,
yeah,
and you literally would just walk by the tennis courts, walk by your team. It was something that nobody understood, but you were struggling. You were trying to find yourself, and you go and have a conversation with your host mom, who at this point, your mom and dad and sister are back home. So that's the person that you're leaning on to try to understand yourself better in that moment.
Yeah.
And you find yourself, and my condition to get to that point to where you asked me to come back on the team, my condition was I had removed you from the team. And I told the team captains, your teammates, if you want to be back on the team, it's not my decision. It's going to have to come from your teammates, because your teammates were the ones that were supporting you and there for you when you're having the time of your life those first few matches. but they were also the ones that were there that saw the lack of practice, the lack of focus, and watching you walk by those times that you went to the soccer field. It's the same teammates, but your teammates were still there. So I remember very vividly, and I don't know how well you know this, but I remember the guys telling me, Coach, we need Fohad. We forgive Fohad for what happened. Fohad is a good teammate. Fohad's going to do great things. Give him a chance. And I said, guys, I will give him a chance, but it has to be 100%.
Yeah.
It has to be his best effort. It has to be who I know this young man can be. So I would love for you to start with, when I told you, yes, you're back on the team. This was the night before we go to a tournament.
We go to Grand Junction. Yeah.
4 hours away from Highlands Ranch.
Yeah.
So at the last minute, we say you're going. What did that moment mean to you? And what was starting to happen in your mind when you knew that you were back on the team?
Well, when you told me yes, you you have to give the 100%. I wanted to, obviously. And I said, this is a new opportunity for me. It passed a month from the injury until that moment, a very bad month I had. And now I have the opportunity to play regionals.
Yeah.
Coach is giving me that moment opportunity, so I have to start changing. I have to have a good experience. So let's do it. And I remember I started packing things and go. And during the travel, I was thinking I don't know how I'm going to play because I was injured of my foot.
Yeah, you had to put the ankle brace on. Yeah, I mean, you had all sorts of stuff that you were thinking about. And for me in that moment, when I was driving up and had the 4 hours of thinking about what's going to happen, I'll tell you where my mind was. I was like, if this dude shows up, he's going to absolutely blow everyone off the court. I knew you had the injury in your arm and the stuff in your foot, but I also know the practices that we had outside of practices. I mean, you and I were hitting balls, man, and you were breaking strings every other day. Like, I played Division I college tennis. I've helped kids play college tennis and elite high school players, and you hit the ball harder than most of the kids that I've ever coached. I saw this crazy potential, and I'm like, man, if this actually unleashes, some great things could happen.
Yeah.
So here we are both reflecting on the drive up to Grand Junction. But at what point did you really decide, okay, I'm going to give everything I have? When did that happen?
When I go into the first match, I played against that guy before during the season. I said, well, I beat him 6-0, 6-0, so I will give my 100%, but it wasn't hard for me, first match. When I go to the second match, you tell me, this kid plays good. He plays very good, and if you pass this, it's going to be your hardest match during the tournament, in the semifinals. And I remember I win the first point. I played a very good point, and I screamed yes. When I screamed that moment, I felt like I was competing again. I felt like a young man that wanted to win. That's the word. Yeah. Not wanted to go. They wanted to win. And I remember I played, I think, my best match I have ever played. I won 6-2, 6-3, 6-3, 6-2. And I played so well. I was very happy. I was screaming all the points. I was accommodating him a lot in my during my match. How I was playing, I felt again what I was wanted to feel. You know, I was feeling what I wanted to feel, and it was awesome. After I go to the finals, I lost first set. I remember saying, you know, I can win this. I
Mm,
will win. And I started again to scream, to celebrate my points, to enjoy the game.
mm.
And I came back in that match and I won. I was champion on the regionals.
You know, what's interesting to me is you got through the first match. The second match, yes, it was tough. And it was the type of player that he wasn't going to give you much room for error. You had to go out and execute your game. You had to go play your game. And one thing that the listeners might not understand is you hadn't even seen a hard court until you came to Colorado. You played on clay.
Clay, yeah.
So
Whole
your
life.
game, your playing style was very unorthodox for Colorado. Unorthodox meaning it's very untraditional.
Yeah, was totally different.
But that tournament was truly the first time that you embraced who you were as a tennis player. I would love for you to speak to how you were taught to play the game, what your playing style was, and why was it effective at the regional tournament?
Well, when I started to hit the ball at the warming up, I started to hit the ball and he was hitting very well. Maybe better than me in that moment. Maybe better. But you know, this goes to my dad, because everything goes about my experience during my life. I had this friend that I always played. He's an amazing player and he hits very strong, very hard. My dad always told me, you know, when someone is hitting you too hard, you have to change his timing. So it starts to slice, drop shots, volley. It starts to change what he's playing. Because if I was playing all the time, hitting back to back, hitting, he was going to beat me.
Especially if
So
your arm was hurting and your foot was hurting. You
my
don't want to
focus,
play
of course,
long points hitting hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
I exactly. If I played long points of just hit and hit and hit, I was going to lose. So I started to play with top spin. I started to play with slice, too much slice, amazing drop shots. I threw that time. I started to surf and volley. I played an amazing match, I remember. And I was intimidating that guy, I remember. I think Fort Collins was the school I played.
Yeah. Yep. You played Fort Collins and then you played a Grand Junction school in the final. Fruita. Fruita Monument. And believe it or not, and I don't know if you knew this, but on a previous podcast episode, I got to do an interview with Richard Johnson. Richard Johnson won 2 state championships at Fruita Monument, went on and played college tennis at Pepperdine, and won a Division I national championship at Pepperdine. So here you are playing against a team, a school that has that type of rich history. And the guy that you played, both from Fort Collins and from Fruita Monument, you came to life. And what was so fun for me as a coach was seeing all of the things happening around you, your teammates, the crowd. There were people there that were just like, like, how in the world is this guy hitting these types of drop shots? How in the world is he doing these things? Like, it's extraordinary. To this day, there's probably not a kid that has ever been in Grand Junction, Colorado, that hit the type of shots that you were hitting. And when I'm going back to who I met, our time together when no one was watching, when it was just you and I training, I knew you were going to show the world who Fohad Amas is as a tennis player. And in that moment, you did. And it was extraordinary. I mean, I'm telling you, man, you left an impression on Colorado tennis forever because of that moment. So I'd love for you to talk about the moment where you get to that last match, you have an opportunity to win the match. Talk me through the last point that you played to win the match and the moment that you realized that you won. How did you feel?
I remember that I'm almost sure I was in a tiebreak.
Yep.
And when I arrived to that tiebreak, I said, I'm going to win this. It's impossible for me to lose this. So I said, I don't care about nothing. I just going to play my best. I just said that. I will play my best. And I remember I was like 5-5 because I won 7-5 that tiebreak. I won that point. I screamed, like, I celebrate a lot. And, I said, this is over. I'm sure I will win. I'm sure. And that the next point, I ended up very, very easy. And I was like, I did. In that moment happened to me that I felt it was a month, 3 days ago, I was maybe in one of the worst moments that I have passed.
Yeah.
3 days later, I'm winning regionals because of the change of my mindset, the change of mind that I had. Obviously because of you, because of the guys, because of Cheryl, because whatever. But I changed. I decided to change. And that's the point. I decided to change. And I was winning what I wanted to win. I said, like, I accomplished what I always wanted. And was very happy that moment. Yeah, I remember the guys told me, if you win our regionals, we were going to take you to a very fancy restaurant. I don't know. They never took me, but well, the promise is still there,
100%, man.
It was amazing because I saw my teammates very happy for me. I saw my host family very happy for me. And I saw you, Coach Mike, Coach Connors, very happy with me. And that was the most important thing.
Yeah, at that moment, regional tournament qualifies you for the state championships. You qualify for state, and you go down to gates. And listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think at that point, your state championship was winning regionals, was that moment. When you got to state, I feel like because of how you felt, because of the support that you had, in my opinion, I felt like you were good. And that match that you played at state, it didn't go your way. But I don't think that, and rightfully so, I want to make sure I'm communicating this the right way, but I think that support and that moment in Grand Junction was your moment, was your championship.
Yeah.
And from there, nothing else mattered anymore because you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. You overcame yourself. You decided to give your best effort. and you went for it. And I can't stress enough to people listening that this is life. Like the moment that you had where you decided, you made a decision to do something, you had to push away a lot of stuff from the past that affected you, that impacted you, that was hard. And you had to do it while being away from your family in another country, in another environment, and you did it. Now, I can relate to that deeply because many years ago when I was around your age, when you were in that moment, 15, 16, I had to make that same decision. I had to make very hard decisions about, am I going to go after my goals and dreams, or am I going to keep allowing people to tell me that I'm not good enough, to tell me that this is all you're going to be able to do. You're not going to be anything more than what you are right now. And I had to say, you know what? No, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to do something extraordinary with my life. And the moment that I'm done doing something extraordinary with my life in tennis, I'm going to go help other people do it. And I'm going to do it over and over and over and over again. And it's crazy how that mindset, that decision that I made many years ago came to where you were able to do that same thing. So with that said, Fohad, I want you to give the listeners a understanding, a piece of advice based off of what you've learned, because we're 3, 4, 5 years removed from when this all happened. This unbelievable, awesome moment. You're back in Argentina. You're in college and probably getting close to hopefully finishing college soon. But nonetheless, your English is much better. You're a tremendous communicator. You've been following, the podcast and have been very supportive of me, and I'm grateful for that. But I think it would be important for you to speak to, if you could go back, knowing what you know now, go back to that day when you lost that third match at Highlands Ranch, and you go to that kid that's sitting on the bench. What would you tell that kid today, the young Fohad? What would you tell him now, knowing what you know now?
That's not the end of something. It's not because you lose means that something is going bad, because in that moment, I think that this kid was the first time that was suffering. I'm sure of that, because this kid didn't have any problems, this far. And it's just telling that, this is, you lost, but life goes, everything goes. And for all things, tomorrow something happens, it's okay, and you can come back from everything. So don't worry, just change your mind and say, I lost because what? Again, in that moment, it's okay. That's it. Let it go. Go to your bed, sleep, and go back tomorrow and continue practicing. You have to confront these problems. You don't have to put it away. It's not because you put it away, everything goes well. No, the problem is still there. But it's not only in tennis. Like when I speak about all the situation I lived, of being sad, of I couldn't communicate with the people, that was the biggest problem, because I didn't want to confront what I was going. I just wanted to give up, and that's not how life works. Because in life, if something happens tomorrow to this kid, what, he will die? No. This kid tomorrow has to wake up and figure out the way to be out of this problem. That's it. That's how lives work. And that's a thing that I learned passing the ways, but I figured out very well, like I think last year. When a problem is there, you have to put it away. You have to confront and say, okay, this is the problem. Okay, now how are we going to change this? And that's how life works.
Well said, Fohad. And I know that you are still back in Argentina and, you know, are hopefully, you know, close again with your family. I'd love to hear just more about kind of where you're at today and what the future holds for you. What are some of your goals over these next couple years?
Well, you know, Coach, like I said, I've been like last year, I think last year, 2022 was the hardest year for me. Was at the time that everything that I was dreaming goes everything down. You know, every dream that I had, you know, when I was in US, after US, goes down. Everything. And I started to ask myself what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do the rest of my life, you know. So, well, I'm right now I'm studying economy. Okay, it's a career that the first when I went into college, I didn't know how to what career start or what I wanted to do. So I decided to economy because, well, my dad wanted me to study something like that, and I said, yeah, okay. I was good in math. I am interested in money, so well, I can know I can give more and study more. But you know, during the passing the years, I realized that I didn't want to do this. That I didn't want to make economic plans and stuff. And the thing that it's passion for me, it's sports. Because like I said, since I'm 6 years old, was my life watching watching soccer, watching tennis, playing soccer, playing tennis, learn about strategy in tennis, attitude, learn a lot of things in sports. And it's like people live about these things. And I know I am very good at it. So why not? Why can't I can't give my I can give my opinion. I can be in the world of sports. Obviously not as a player because, well, I'm late. I am kind of late now, but I can help a lot of people.
You can.
I know if the day of tomorrow I go into a academy for being a trainer, I think I will be an amazing trainer. Or if I start a program of a lot of things of sport, I will help a lot of people.
Yes.
So, well, I decided to. I'm taking the decision of see what I want to do to study, but it's like I've returned to have a north, you know, because
Yeah.
I was just in automatic pilot and just going and nowhere. And it's like now I know what I want. Now I know what I have to do, and I will start doing. And the hill it's very high. And I will do whatever it takes to be up, and to enjoy my life.
And did that moment in Colorado help you be where you're at today?
Yeah, was the first moment that a bad moment that I passed through. But well, life is like that. Sometimes there is bad moments, and one takes the decision of change or to just don't do anything and fail. So it depends in the mind of one, you know?
Absolutely. Fohad, that's just wise words from such a young man who's growing exponentially. Looks like you're keeping yourself in good shape, and I couldn't be more proud of you. And I think what I would love for you to do is listen. I respect you deeply. I respect your family and your country, and I know that you have spent some time in Argentina and spent some time in Bolivia, and I would love for you to have an opportunity to share some words to the people of your country and your family. Is there anything that you would like to say to them?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. Everything can change if you want. Everything. If something bad goes, you can change. But it depends on you.
Fohad Amas, I cannot thank you enough for our friendship, for the opportunity to be your coach, even if it was just for a small portion of your life. It's been a tremendous honor to have you on the BTB Project. Thanks again for joining.
No, thanks for you, coach, for inviting me. It was very special when you told me that you want me to be there. Thank you for inviting me, for help me in that moment of my life, because people are in that moment for something, and you were there for something. I'm sure of that. You made me learn a lot of things that now I can do. I can't change. I can do. Well, you are one of the guys who showed me that. So I'm always grateful with you, with the dedication you gave me when I was there. Thank you.
Always, brother. And that's what the BTB Project is all about, is we're on mission, and now you get your opportunity to pay it forward. So I look forward to hearing the stories you're going to be part of. Thanks again, man.
No, thank you. And well, you are my coach. You will still be my coach, and you are like a friend for me.
Excellent. What an honor it was to spend some time with Fohad, and it just makes me reflect back of how awesome it is to come across different people from different countries, different cultures, and have any sort of opportunity to impact their life. Fohad was a tremendous spirit and someone that I'm forever grateful for, to believe in me enough that in that moment, recognizing within himself that he needed to make a change, that despite whatever circumstances he was facing, that he put the responsibility on himself to pivot, adapt, and adjust to go after a goal, to make a memory. You as the listener can relate as well. There are so many forks in the road we face in life, and we're in that moment. What do we do? You can either go right or you can either go left. But my advice to you is make a decision, but trust yourself. Live with no regrets. Any decision you make in the alignment of your belief system, your value system, will be the right decision. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspired or encouraged you, do me a favor and give it a share. Send it to somebody who needs to hear the same words. Like and subscribe to the BTB Project. We're going to keep going. There's lots of stories to share. There's lots of wisdom to be heard. And more importantly, there's lots that we can do together to impact lives. I'm proud of each and every one of you, and take care.
You're told I'll be a hard temptation.